met your friend Sarah at university. You were in the same corridor in your halls of residence, and you were inseparable from each other. You moved into a house that you shared in your second year, in your third year, and then you stayed on to do a master's as Sarah completed her 4-year course to spend 1 more year together. But eventually, like all good things, it must have come to an end. You remember at graduation saying that you would stay in touch with each other and really meaning it. But life has a habit of getting in the way, and you began to drift apart as you moved back home and Sarah moved to Seattle in the States to work as a lawyer for the legal department of a new tech startup. You message, the WhatsApp chat gets less and less populated other than Christmases and birthdays, and soon it's relatively quiet. Until it is a few months before Sarah's 30th birthday and a new chat is created called Sarah's 30th. And in it, Sarah is trying to make contact with you. Says that she is sorry that she has lost touch and that she would love to invite you out to Seattle to spend the birthday weekend with her if you can find the time. And you find the time, you make it work, and soon you are giving Sarah a big old bear hug in the arrivals lounge at the Seattle airport. She whisks you away to her favourite pizza places and pubs and bars, and then her favourite brunch spot in the morning to nurse the inevitable hangover. And it's at this point that she mentions that she's been learning to fly. To get her pilot's license, one of the perks of her job. Apparently they have a small plane at the airport they will lend out to people, and one of her bosses owns this sort of abandoned summer camp just about an hour's and a half flight away from the city. It's well stocked, and you can, I don't know, take an acoustic guitar, you go sit by the campfire, swim in the lake, have a really lovely time together. You agree, and soon you are bundling into the back of a small aircraft, Sarah up front and you in the back, popping champagne and listening to your pre-drinks playlist from when you were at university. You look out the window and you look at the bright blue sky above you and the green, thick trees underneath you, and you remember that this is what it was like to be happy all those years ago back at university with Sarah, and that is the last thing that you remember. You wake up and see grey clouds above you. You're lying on your back, and the branches of trees pepper the periphery of your vision. You can feel the ground beneath you, cold and waterlogged, and your hands sink into it as you prop yourself upwards and look to see yourself in a forest clearing, and in front of you, a crashed plane. The front half of the plane is smouldering in the centre of the clearing, the back half of the plane intact, not on fire, but propped up against the tree line. There is no sign of Sarah, but you do notice footprints stuck into the sodden earth that come out of the cockpit window, seem to drag you from the wreckage and then peel off, let's say east, into the forest. Sarah must have pulled you free from the wreckage. You don't know that for sure. All you know is that you are cold, you are wet, you are hungry, soon it'll probably get dark. You don't know what to do. What would you like to do?
Have a nap.
Sorry?
Have a nap.
Have a nap. You decide to curl up on the floor. Perhaps Sarah will return if you just stay put. You find a piece of wreckage and you kind of curl up on it. It's slightly warm from some embers that were once on there, but have since blown away off to be extinguished into the mud. And you have a nap. Being in a plane crash is surprisingly exhausting, and you soon drop off to sleep. Time passes by and you wake up. It is now night time. It is quite cold. You sit up and you call out for Sarah's name. You hear no response. What would you like to do?
Make a fire.
Search the wreckage, make a fire. You begin looking around the wreckage. As you do so, you notice that the part that is still on fire has embers that have survived the evening. You grab some dried twigs from the tree line and you start building a fire on the piece of wreckage you were just resting on, knowing it to be dry, a good base for a fire. You get a small fire going and you collect enough dry wood to keep feeding it. Would you like to search the front half or the back half of the plane?
Back half.
The back half still smouldering, you don't find much, but you do find half of a parachute. Down one side, like the left half of a parachute. A canopy, some straps, some ropes, half of a harness. There's not much else here. You slept through quite a lot of the day and a lot of things would have burnt up by now. There's still the front half of the plane if you want to search that. Search that. Cool. You look at the front half of the plane. You notice in the cockpit that the radio has been torn off of the console. Maybe it came off in the wreckage. You also find a flare gun under the seat with a single flare in it, and 2 rucksacks. One is Sarah's rucksack. It contains some cereal bars and a bottle of water. Another contains a spare t-shirt, a spare pair of Converse-style trainers, a makeup bag with all sorts of different makeup in it, concealers, eyeshadows, eyeliner, lipstick, that sort of thing. And you also find a brown paper wrapped present, about this big, wrapped in brown paper and some string.
Open it.
You tear open the package and inside find a first edition copy of Green Eggs and Ham, Sarah's favourite book from her childhood that you bought her for her birthday. You read it. Waiting for Sarah, sit down in this front half of the plane, and you leaf through the book. You don't feel like you have anything better to do, so you have a read through. Sorry?
You do the actions.
You do the actions, not only reading through the book, but just spend time fully embodying the character of
What about the makeup? Go on,
You find a particularly an intact window in the plane, and to pass the time, start practicing your makeup skills. You've not gone much past the sort of odd, occasional eyeshadow or eyeliner for various different costume parties, but you decide, no time like the present, to start applying makeup indiscriminately to your face. You are at a version of yourself the one intact window in the fuselage of the plane. You look somewhat like a sort of a real-life Picasso painting, different shades of colour that you might not expect all over the place. You really went ham with it, but that's great. Sorry?
What, did you get brain damage in the crash?
You wonder to yourself if this was intentional or not. You try and reassure yourself, perhaps a dropping in the glass, perhaps an exhaustion. You're not sure. Perhaps this is a question someone else will have to answer if you are rescued.
Are you hungry?
Think if you were rescued and you wonder how likely that is to happen. You hear your stomach rumble. You reach into the rucksack and you pull out some cereal bars. You have a couple of those, wash them down with some water.
Follow the footprints.
You follow the footprints. You grab a torch from the fire. You wedge the spare t-shirt that you have into the top of a stick, set fire to it, and are off east, or at least the direction you think is east, through the forest. The footprints start getting fainter as you move into the forest. This area, the ground more protected from the elements by the canopy above you. You manage to spot twigs and leaves that are broken throughout the forest, and you think you can make your way to where Sarah might be. I would like you to draw a brick from the tower. Any Jenga rules apply. You can change your mind, and you can abandon your pull if you want, or will have effects on the story. You continue walking through the forest, trying to keep an eye on Sarah's path, and you are successful. Eventually, you reach the edge of a sort of lip falling downwards, a mini cliff in front of you. The edge is tangled with the dead roots of trees. You can see a clearing at the bottom of this cliff. It's about a 12-foot drop. Jump. You decide to jump off the cliff, pull a brick from the tower for me. You take a few steps backwards and a running leap and jump off of the cliff. Fortunately, a dead root snags the back of your jeans and you trip and fall and hang off the cliff for a while, saving yourself from perhaps a broken ankle or leg from the landing if landing incorrectly. However, now you're facing the wall of the cliff, upside down. You notice that there is a hole, a cave, hewn out of the mud.
Coming up.
You decide to lay upside down to have a nap. You think no time like the present. And exhausted from only having eaten a few cereal bars throughout the day, and your arms are very tired from all the making up of your face. You decide to take a little rest, and you sleep oddly comfortably for the rest of the evening until you're woken up with a sort of a sharp poking feeling in your face and upper body. You open your eyes and you see in front of you 4 large squirrels. And large as in like several feet high. They are wearing sort of vests and trousers fashioned out of leaves and woven reeds, and they appear to have little little bags fashioned out of acorns and bark and scraps of wood. One of them, who is standing further forwards than the other three, is poking at you inquisitively with a sharp stick. The stick looks carved as if they all have always had it on them, they haven't just found it around the place. They are poking at you and chirping at you in some way. Whatever language they are speaking, if they understand it, you do not.
Make yourself big.
You decide to really open your face up, still made up with all of the makeup from the and you try and grab parts of your coat to kind of open it even wider, to create some sort of, maybe they might think you're some strange clown/bat-like creature hanging upside down. They appear startled and take a step backwards, but when they realise that you might actually be stuck in the roots and are not going to be actively coming for them, they calm down. They stop poking you though, so that's a benefit. They chirp at you. They're asking you something, you can't discern what it is. What would you like to do?
Chirp at them.
You attempt to chirp back at them. They stare at you inquisitively and kind of talk amongst themselves, and they chirp something very similar to what they just chirped at you again. It's almost as if they're asking you the same question.
Sing to them.
You decide to sing to them. What would you like to sing to them?
Bright eyes. ABBA.
You sing a mishmash of eyes and random ABBA lyrics that float through your head as that's happening. While they do not understand the words and so do not understand the mishmash of lyrics, the melody is coherent and they like what you're singing. They seem to you start dancing, and in doing so dislodge yourself from the roots you are still hanging from. You plummet and fall, and one rushes over to try and catch you, but they may not be a bit too late. I need someone to draw a brick from the tower. And your biz?
What? Oh, me!
Go ahead, yeah. As you plummet towards the ground, it's like everything moves in slow motion. You start reflecting on all of your decisions leading up to this position. Song choices, makeup choices, the ways in which you tore open Sarah's present without a second thought.
Yay.
But as you land, you realise the ground is softer than you initially thought. And the squirrels rush to your aid almost, helping you up off the ground and opening their bag to offer you some food. Some berries they have foraged and a small kind of canteen-like object, clearly like almost fashioned out of a stone. Hewn from inside the rock. They chirp at you and point inside the cave. What would you like to do?
Follow them in.
You follow them in. They start walking inside the cave and you follow suit, walking behind them. They seem very confident, as if they are very used to exploring this area, and that puts you at ease. The first time you felt fully at ease for this entire ordeal. So you walk forwards. As you walk a few meters into the cave and turn left, you notice that now there are torches on the walls, and this space is well lit. And you continue walking into the cave until you reach a large wooden circular door that fills up the entirety of the space. The squirrels do not approach this door, and they kind of look at each other, and they look at you, and then they sort of take a step backwards, leaving you very much the nearest person to this door. What would you like to do?
Use opposable thumbs to open the door.
You use your opposable thumbs to open the door. The squirrels stare at you in bewilderment and delight at your dexterity. They can jump and climb through the trees like little forest ninjas, but you can open things, and they cannot, other than their bags. You open this door, and inside you find a little kind of grotto area, but the furniture is human size, not squirrels. You can see something that looks like a wardrobe with the tattered remnants of clothes hanging in it. You can see a sort of makeshift television, except the program on the screen has been drawn on in mud as if with someone's finger. It is not functioning, and whoever made this may not quite, maybe a few sandwiches short of a full hamper. There is a sofa, there is a bathtub and a makeshift shower. There is a bed, and curled up on the bed you spot the familiar shape of your friend Sarah. The light is currently off in this room, and as you open the door, the faint glow of the torches from the corridor peer into the room, not disturbing Sarah's slumber. What would you like to do?
Give Sarah a birthday present.
You walk over to Sarah and you kind of, borrowing the stick from your squirrel friend, gently poke her to try and wake her gently. You don't use the sharp end of the stick though, although you consider it given the plane crash. She slowly stirs and rolls over and sees you, and she smiles and beams and is very grateful that you're okay. Before she can get an apology out for the crashing of the plane, you take your bag and you open it up and you hand her the copy of Green Eggs and Ham. She looks at it and looks at you and starts tearing up. This clearly means a lot to her, and you start tearing up with her. It's a really lovely moment. You start recognizing this feeling as well. This was what it was like. You thought on the plane that was happiness, that was kind of support. You maybe had been missing that feeling for the past few years, but no, this is what it was like, having each other's back, supporting each other, apologizing and making up and being there for each other no matter what. This was what you've been missing, and you're very glad that you found it. Until the door slams behind you, and the room is plunged into darkness with the heavy breathing of somebody. Elevated off the ground, not one of the squirrels. In fact, behind the shut door you can hear the squirrels jibber-jabbering and chirping as they run back down the corridor. What would you like to do?
Ask what the fuck's going on.
You ask what the fuck's going on, and there is a pause before someone says, "What do you mean what the fuck's going on? You've broken into my house." Who are you two?
Who is it?
Who am I? This is my house. Who the fuck are you?
Kings and Queens of the Forest.
Sorry?
King and Queen of the Forest.
You say you were king and queen of the forest, and he says, he sighs heavily. And he walks over to a torch that you saw earlier on the wall and takes a lighter out of his pocket, lights it, and you see a man that can only be described as Robin Williams at the beginning of Jumanji. Very Grizzly Adams, big bushy beard, clothes made out of leaves and such.
Piers Morgan.
You recognise this man as Piers Morgan. You ask him if he's okay, and he says he's fine, he doesn't want to talk about it. And he asks if you can leave his house. You are recognising him, more than happy to oblige. You and Sarah get out of there and make your way out of the cave. You have lost sight of your little squirrel friends. But on the floor, you find a little doll, a little kind of figurine of you. They've tied some sticks together, and a little acorn as a face, and they have tried to replicate the crazy makeup that you have on your face on the acorn's head. You and Sarah, using the dead roots, climb your way back up the cliff and head back to the clearing. And soon you are back in the clearing with the smouldering wreckage of the plane. No embers, and the fire has since died out, but you're back where you started. You somehow have your friend there. What would you like to do?
Kick back and smoke a fatty.
Sarah goes over to her rucksack, opens a pocket you did not notice before, and the two of you hang out and enjoy yourselves. You chill out. You feel very comfortable in each other's company, and nothing, crazy or giant has attacked you. You've had a relatively alright time with it. So far, yeah. You keep smoking, and the smoke from both you and the wreckage billows high up into the sky. And soon you are hearing the whirring blades of a helicopter that comes overhead.
Shoot the flare at him.
You take the flare gun out of your pocket and you shoot the flare at the helicopter. The flare explodes and the helicopter veers a little bit and then gets back on track. You see the stern faces of the pilot and co-pilot in the clearing. The side opens up and a forest ranger gets out with 2 foil blankets and 2 thermoses, one of coffee, one of hot chocolate. You and Sarah get bundled into the back of the helicopter and flown back to civilization. You have survived the forest and the plane crash, and you have bonded closer together as a friendship group. And that is the end of our story. Thank you for playing.